Welcome back. We've made it to the end. A whole 31 days of releasing daily content.
Victory!
Seriously. This was stressful at times.
I'll bet.
But this is the wrap-up video. So I had the Mike on here. He helped me out with the first set and the last couple in an emergency. And, well, that was one of the stressful parts.
It all worked out, right?
Yeah, it came together. So we're going to run over a few questions. You know, some of the questions that you answered that you have a follow-up to, some things that in some of the other videos that we either didn't get to or you have a better answer for.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So this is going to be a bit of a longer video, and we're just going to hit a couple different topics, kind of bounce around a little bit, and see where it goes. So sit down, relax, and enjoy. Overall, how do you think this month went?
I loved it. Although I love philosophical discussion. I think it's like the greatest. I think it really contributes to, how do I even put it? Philosophy helps the world. The more people consider the imponderables, I think the better off we'll be. I really do.
I agree. That's actually one thing that they actually just came out with, and this is there was a TED Talk based on this. Your IQ, why your IQ is so much higher than your grandparents, than their grandparents, so on and so forth. It's because of the mode of thinking they had.
Only thinking about animal brain stuff.
Mm-hmm. And the more humanity has branched out, the more we've had to think about. And the guy's one example was, it was like 200 years ago or 100 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And he went around the world and asked people these questions. And they couldn't think outside of their life experience. Like everything was wrapped only in their life experience. And we're at the point now with technology that we have to think outside the box. One of the reasons video games are so good for you is it forces you to think in a reality that's different from your own, and you have to adapt to new rules, new play sets, and it really keeps your brain. Well, it's like running like a well-oiled machine. It keeps firing in all these different directions, and those are the things that force you to be smarter.
Yeah.
And philosophy is one of those things. You're questioning things that either don't have a concrete answer or that are so far outside of your life experience that it's difficult to get a grasp on. And by that very nature, it's like lifting weights for your brain. It's good for you. So I think this month has been a rousing success. I've lost viewers because of it. I've gained like 6 or 8 or something, I don't know. But I mean, I've gained people, I've lost people. So I mean, that's kind of a wash. My view time is, skyrocketed and plummeted by the week. Even not considering any of that, it's the comments that I received on these videos.
Yeah, you seem like you did. At least so far, we touched a couple of minds.
Yeah.
Some people really dug deep. I saw that.
And that's really what I was hoping for with this is...
You planted seeds, you did.
Just get people thinking.
Yeah.
Because, it ties a lot into the manliness. Got a hole there.
Yeah, bottom lip.
It really does tie into the whole manliness thing of improving yourself, making yourself a better person, because...
Renaissance man. No use in being weak in one area and being super strong in another.
Exactly. This helps you. This helps you in so many different areas, from, examining yourself, making yourself a better person, more relatable to others. You're better able to cope to situations that you've never dealt with before. It's all good. So
Absolutely.
It really does tie into all of that, even though it is philosophy, and philosophy is not manly, at least not in the common thought process.
Yeah.
But if you go back to ancient Greece and Rome, men practice philosophy.
Anybody who doesn't think a well-cultivated mind is something that every man ought to have, I question their manlyhood.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Honest to God. Not every situation can be handled with brute force. Sometimes tact can save everything. Oh my God.
There's a reason that general military philosophy now is not brute force. It's the right application of force, and that takes a well-rounded mind.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
What were some of your favorite questions from this month? Without really diving into what were some of your...
I really liked a lot of the questions you asked your father. Your father had a whole bunch of good ones. That one that examined how you treat microscopic life, that was fascinating. There was one that was just basically about good and evil. I found that really interesting with him. Big Red on suffering. That was something. You could tell that he had had a little suffering in his life, not to diminish. It just meant that he had had a portion. And it educated his answer. I could tell because I could relate. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think there was really a bad question or a bad set of answers, because it was forcing someone to come out of their comfort zone, basically.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to any, but I'm assuming at these Socrates meetings that you go to, there's a lot of diminishing comfort zones.
Oh yes, especially with the considering the people that never fail to show up. They always keep it interesting. Like our buddy Scott, it's he's a toughie. So yeah, it's always interesting. There's always a boundary tested somewhere. Yeah.
Well, I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And how are you supposed to know where the limits are if you don't push to find them? And how do you expand them without pushing to them?
I'll tell you, it was pushing those limits that gave me my greatest appreciation for Socrates Cafe. Some of the topics we ended up on, like, I didn't think I'd ever get the skinny on how a chastity belt worked. But my first meeting, it was just only two men in the room were Scott and I, and the rest of the group were women, age 18 to 80 something. And somebody touched on chastity belts, and somebody was like, I had to wear one of those. Like, don't you have questions on how that goofy stuff works? Like, how do you go to the bathroom? The answer is they always have to have someone nearby with the key who will let them have the key, go into the bathroom for 5 minutes, and then as soon as they come out, they lock them back up. Like,
Okay, then.
Like, just, I don't know. I cherish all
something
knowledge.
I've never even considered, but...
No, but you've heard of them, and I didn't know how they worked or whatever, and just,
Well,
you wouldn't get that, Yeah, there's a little nugget for you.
Yeah, there's something that just due to its very nature, you will never forget.
Yes, there you go. Enjoy.
But yeah, no, it is testing those boundaries, either socially or personally, that, it's
Absolutely.
It's fascinating. What was one question you hated?
Hated. Oh, boy. I really can't think of one offhand. I envied some of the questions other people got.
What do you mean?
Like Michaela's one. I had a couple of really good answers to that one, but there was none that I hated. I can't say I hated any of them, especially considering the response you got, especially considering how many people you're hitting. It was worth it. Even if someone's answers were a little too this way or that, definitely worth hearing.
Good. Because I did want to get going into this, I wanted to get a cross-section of people.
You did that.
So I could, produce different personalities and test different limits.
Right.
And I did select a lot of these questions for the person I was going to interview.
Right.
Because I thought that would be really cool, or I'd get really good answers out of them.
You did. Yeah. You got some surprising answers. Holy cow! Yeah.
Like that first one I picked with you. I don't even remember what it was.
Neither do I offhand.
It wasn't. My dad was true evil. Which that was a good one. I didn't even consider that. It was something religious or something I got for you.
I know one thing I regret. You didn't bring anybody who I felt was as big of a zealot as I am. If you'd found somebody who was even more frothing at the mouth for a cause, that would have been fascinating. I would have loved to see somebody. I love seeing that when someone is just a little off because you know what I mean? Like if you talk to me about Django Unchained, I go berserk. I get animated. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
you do.
So I would have liked to see somebody take a philosophy question and get truly flustered. Get so passionate about their answer that they're stupefied. They're stuttering and their face is turning red. And we didn't get that. But beyond that, we
At
had
least
some...
yet.
Right. But we had some really great discourse. I would say that for sure. For sure.
Okay, well, are there any things that you want to expand upon?
For my answers?
Either from your answers or from other people's answers. Like I know right before we did this, just as a quick refresh, we watched a few of the questions.
Right. I did like the Michaela thing, Michaela's question about questions you can ask to learn someone. I had a couple of good ones on that. My favorite is asking someone, what do you prefer, Stones or Beatles? Rolling Stones or Beatles? In general, the people who end up my friends are the ones who say neither. Like, I enjoy each a little, but those who could deal without ever hearing either again, for some reason, those are my people. Those are the people I end up hanging out with the most. So what that says about sensibilities or what, I don't know, but it's some strangely accurate indicator of who my friends will be. Or something about suffering. There's actually two people in this world that I like that I have a hard time not wishing suffering on. And I thought that was an interesting addition. Dave Matthews and Alanis Morissette.
Okay.
Their music has turned to garbage as they got richer, and it's because of the lack of suffering in their life. When you think of like You Ought to Know, that whole album, that chick was bleeding, crying, like that was some serious passion.
Yeah.
And through her pain, this great art blossomed. And I don't actually wish that pain on them, but that thought occurs to me. Like, man, I wish they'd have a bad week so they'd write a good album. Like, it actually occurs to me.
I was just going to ask, what are you going to go hire a hit squad to break her kneecaps or something? Like, come on.
No, nothing you could do about it. There's nothing you could do. You just, kind of hope their team loses the Super Bowl. Some innocent shit. Just something to get them in the studio with a little bit of a whimper in their heart.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's cold, but I miss my music. I take it back. I never let the thought just linger out there, but it does occur to me that there is a direct link between suffering and art, and their art has suffered by their cushy lifestyle.
Yeah, there's I'm sure there's...
Strange share. What do you want?
Christ. Okay, if you were in the hot seat, if you were doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
if you ran the show, how would you have changed it?
I would have had Scott here to administer the questions, because he's an interrogator, and he could even make something innocent horrible. You'd ask him a question about pain, and he'd have a follow-up that would accidentally take you down a horrible road. Like, we would have found out exactly how bad Big Red's Crohn's disease was without asking. Like, like if you wanted to know what that was about, Scott would have asked something very innocent that would have laid that right out for you.
If I can get him on here without the mask.
Oh, no way. No way. He won't do it without the mask. He's afraid of you guys. He thinks celebrity is poison. Yeah. Argumentative. You picked stuff that was in people's wheelhouses. Perhaps it would have been better to, or at least maybe for the next chapter, areas that you think aren't well thought out for those people.
Well, it wasn't things that necessarily that I was going for things that are well thought out or not. I was going for who I thought would have an interesting answer to this question. It wasn't one way or the other.
Yeah.
I know for a lot of your questions, it's like, as I was scrolling through, I was like, oh, this isn't good for Mike. Yeah, I'll save that over for him.
Yeah. And picking that one for your dad was brilliant, because that was an answer you probably wouldn't have gotten from any other of the people.
No.
With that microscopic organisms. I think everybody would have chosen the over-compassionate, bleeding heart approach. And your dad's like, man needs the oil. You gotta respect that. I mean, that's a fair opinion.
Yeah.
It's not one I share, and would have loved to debate with him openly.
I swear.
Maybe that's the thing. We needed more people. You needed opposing views in the same room.
Ooh.
Like you have to kind of be nice and yes and no your way to everything I say. Well, if there's two guests in the room,
yeah. I would like to get
it could get more colorful.
Another splitter for this.
Yeah.
So I could have 3 or 4 people sitting around and really juice it up.
Yeah. If you don't mind, some people can't stand how often interruptions happen. But if you don't mind that, a lot more gets said. A lot more gets challenged. People get away with a lot less.
Yeah.
We're not going to be here tomorrow, so we can shoot barbs at each other.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the reason I'm asking a lot of these questions for you about how you would have run things is it's illuminating, because you and I spent, 2.5 years talking philosophy and talking about stuff like this just back and forth for hours and hours and hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very. What are some of the questions you would have asked some of my guests?
Oh, I'm gonna have to think of the individual people. I would love to hear your dad's take on Les Mis. Is it okay to steal a loaf of bread to save your starving family? Because your dad's got some real tall moral pillars and real strict lines that I think he will not cross.
Yeah.
And I want to know where the rubber meets the road on that one. That one would have been real good. Or Michaela. What's the minimum amount of time she has to spend with a person before she knows she hates them? Ah, right? Michaela, Sheriff Bubbles, loves everyone, is a nurse, super nurturing, but there's assholes out there. How long does it take? What does it take? Is there a quick way to get to it?
Skipping her in line when she has a bad day?
That's a good story. I wish she was here. We could tell that story. But
Yeah, I'm not going to tell her story for her.
No. But yeah.
There's a few topics that weren't even on the list that I would have loved to ask people.
So why didn't you go there? Just because they weren't on that stinking list?
Because when I came up with this idea, I was just going to use the list initially, and then once I ran through that, I was going to build my own set of questions on things that weren't there.
Oh, that would have been better.
Once I got
That would have been better. That's what this was missing. More so than anything else. That was totally it. You could have tailor-made the questions a little better. Ugh, you even had the thought.
Yeah.
Get on his ass about that.
Hopefully I can get my brother on here.
Oh, he'd be an interesting one too.
Or Homer.
I've never met him.
He'll be interesting. But there's certain things that I'd like to, personal threads I'd like to pick at. Not to unravel a person, but I think this would be a good path to go down to really get a couple really hard,
Absolutely.
interesting answers. One path you and I have trodden quite a few times is religion.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite hobbies. Growing up, I was a weird kid. I studied everything. One of the things I studied for about 3 years, was every different religion I can get my hands on.
Yeah, I dabbled a little bit in each one as well.
Just to know, what the practitioners thought, really read their texts, talk to a few of them, and I went across the board: Islam, all the different sects of Christianity, Judaism, Wiccanism, Druidism, just Taoism.
I think you're supposed to say it like a D.
Taoism.
Yeah.
Never said I was perfect.
Yeah. Well, it's just one of my favorites, so I had to stick up for it.
Yeah. But I really like to, get a feel for really what the whole world believes in, and I think I'd put a good, beat on it.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite questions one of my favorite topics to tread with people.
Oh, why don't you do that? Oh, I wonder if you get in trouble. That list is the best. They used to do it at the end of Student Actors Studio Guild or whatever. They'd interview a movie star for a half hour, and at the end they'd ask them like 10 questions, and it was the same 10 questions. It was like, when you die, when you get to the pearly gates, what do you hope God says to you? Like, if there is a God. They actually even preface it like that. Another one, what's your favorite curse word? What's your favorite and least favorite noises? Oh man, I can't think of the rest of them. But by the end, you really have a good sense of the person. That would have been like a good round one. Like, to warm them up for the philosophy. Ask them that shit, because it's just opinions. It's stuff that everybody already kind of knows how they feel for sure. You get them used to talking. I think I'd do that. So that's a difference.
I'd like to get a priest on here.
A priest? What, reverend isn't good enough?
Like, actually get like a Catholic priest.
Yeah.
And have them sit down and talk philosophy and even theology.
Good luck. Good luck.
I mean, that's really stepping into a big minefield.
It is. Most won't touch it. I think personally, because they've been attacked by so many people who share my views but not my tact. They've been attacked by questions so often that the whole subject is bruised. Like, why do you believe? How dare you just assume something that can't be proved or can't be proven? They're just so sick of that, from hearing it from people who didn't really want a conversation. They just were acting out on old pain.
But I mean, if I could find someone that was willing, that would be...
It would be fascinating.
Because, I mean, even when I was younger, I had debates with a bunch of different priests and stuff when I was going through catechism, even when I went to a Catholic school for several years.
Yeah.
I'd have these debates with a lot of the priests and stuff, and it was all in good nature, and I was really just trying to figure things out.
Right.
But I haven't had one of those in so long, and...
You were lucky. In my whole life, I've only met one priest who would even try and tread water like that with me.
Well, I mean, he also saw me in church every day, or every week, so he also kind of knew me already. He knew I do believe, so, it's
right.
It's a little bit different being a club member.
Right. Than some atheist or agnostic coming up to you on the street. Let me ask you a question.
But here's the interesting thing. I'm a practicing Catholic. I believe. No one else in my family really does. Which I've grown up having all my beliefs challenged by that. Like, even my dad would ask me theological questions and debate me on them while he was taking me to school. Stuff like that.
And still you landed on faith.
Yes.
That is amazing.
But I think those are good discussions to have.
I always think it's very amazing when somebody comes out the other side of difficult questions like that and still have some faith intact. That's amazing.
Considering that my brother and my dad don't believe.
Right. So it's what you were taught and your primary peer. No effect.
Yeah. So I mean that says a lot to my belief, but it also says a lot to my upbringing because I grew up challenging and examining.
It's a compliment to your parents.
Oh yeah.
To raise a secular child, or is that the right word? I mean, to raise someone who holds it dear and you yourself don't. How does that even happen? Like, jeez.
Yeah,
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
But they never discouraged. The thing is, they never discouraged me on it, but they challenged me at every step. Almost the same way that my dad never discouraged me from building things and learning how to build things, but he challenged me at every step of it.
Oh, I don't think there's enough credit in there. Like the way you said it, it's almost like it was a liability that got turned good, and I think it was the right idea right from the beginning. Like a religious ideal is crap if it's not tested. So by testing your faith, he did you a better service than if he had been a believer.
How so?
Well, now your beliefs are tested. The first person who comes up with an intellectual loophole to some random passage of the Bible isn't going to send you scurrying home crying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what you believe. Yeah, like you're not gonna fall victim to that. I think it's weak. I think anybody who's walking around with a belief that they haven't really thoroughly examined, that's a real hole in their armor. Mm-hmm. And your dad armed you. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's amazing. How do you do that? I'm 90% sure if I had a child, just my cynicism would squash that right out of him. You know? He'd say something about God and I'd accidentally giggle. You know? Like I'd undermine the poor little shit at every turn. You know?
I've gotten to giggle a couple times.
So maybe it wouldn't. But I don't know. That's my first thought.
Oh.
What else? Oh my God. Oh, and you said something about him not giving you things. I forget the way you phrased it, but you made it sound as if, no, he gave you the means. Like, you can't have a bike, build a bike.
Yeah, no. When I was growing up,
that's an asset.
He refused to buy me things that I wanted. You know, I never actually wanted for anything.
Yeah.
In the material sense, it's the, well, I want this, I want that. You know how a kid is. You know, you see a new ad on TV, and if you're a new parent, 4 or 5 year old, you get it.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't get me that stuff, and he sat me down one day and said, if you want it, you either have to get a job and buy it, or learn how to make it. When I was in middle school, and when you're in middle school, you don't get a job.
No.
So he kind of forced me to get creative, to teach myself how to do things, and as time went on, he kind of just ratcheted that up. If you want a car, you got to get it yourself.
I think he did you a favor.
You have to learn how to fix it yourself. You have to learn, and he didn't really help me other than make sure I didn't kill myself. Which I could have done easily. But it gave me a good appreciation for how to not only earn things, but how to make things. And, well, I mean, proof is in the pudding, and here we are sitting at the table. Or, no, that's not the phrase. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, and here we are sitting at the table.
I like that.
Because, I mean,
yeah,
I'm surrounded by furniture I built, and, I'm building a business, I'm building a YouTube channel.
Yeah. What's the opposite of being entitled? you need a headboard, your first thought is, well, I need to go get wood. You know, like, my thought is, how much does a headboard cost? You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's something good. You did you a favor.
Yeah, we were sleeping on the ground. Mick wanted to go buy she actually wanted to go buy a bedside. I was like, no. I called my buddy at the time, Wallach, up. Listen, we're gonna go get some 4x4s. We're gonna get some 2x4s, and we're gonna get some 2x6s, and you're gonna help me. Let's build something. And by the end of the day, she went to work. She came home, and there was a bed.
There it was. Did you ever share that with them? Did they get to see that?
I mean, there's a couple pictures on my Etsy.
Yeah.
But no, this was before I started YouTube.
The headboard?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was a shame because that was...
Was it gone now? You don't have it anymore?
Well, I have it in my bedroom, yeah, but it's like the building of it and how I planned everything out and cut everything out and the inner workings behind
you're
it.
You're going to have to show it to them. You're going to have to clip it in. You know it.
All right. And there are things that, I would like to change about it. Like, it's not a masterpiece the first time I do it.
It's your first headboard. Shit.
Well, I mean, the shelves, that was my first time building shelves. That turned out pretty damn good.
Yeah, it did. I feel like I could sit on the top layer, or on the top level.
I mean, the thing held a ton of weight.
Yeah.
That was my first bed that I made, too. And it's solid. So yeah, not a masterpiece like how I use the vellum to diffuse the light. That was a terrible choice.
Why did it catch fire?
No. First off, it's come loose in several places. So it's just kind of flopping around.
Right.
Which kind of sucks because it's like noisy and stuff now.
How is that just not a matter of you didn't use enough nails?
Well, it's glue.
Oh. Okay.
But that's also a function of the second property of vellum, which I never knew about till that. It expands and it tautens up and loosens with moisture. So if you don't have it on there tight when it's like super moist out, like middle of summer, foggy, nasty day, then
yeah, okay. I get
it gets super wrinkly when it gets moist in here, like when the radiators spit off, the overpressure. You'll see it go from tight as a drum to like an 80-year-old lady's face.
That's wild.
It is. It's something, but that's a flaw. Oops.
Well, you'll know for next time.
Yeah. And when I buy a bigger bed, I have to make a new bed, and
you're just gonna have to. Yeah.
At that point, I need.
It's like they don't even sell them in the store to you. It's just like you don't even see them.
Well, my family owned a mattress chain for a long time. They owned Mattress Man for 13, 14 years. So it's not like I don't.
Oh, no. You can't use that as an excuse. Oh, he'll probably edit this. But I've seen him try to build things that were cheaper to buy, but he wouldn't do it. It was, what was it, a paper towel dowel or something that Mick wanted one time? And then it took like a day before you realized that the expenses were higher than to buy one at the 99-cent store, and it was a complete abort. Like, there's a side of you that just loves wood too. You got to admit that. Just like, I could build it. Why would I buy one? Why deny myself the thrill?
Yeah, I did the same thing with Laura. She owns Kitty Girl Boutique, makes bath bombs and stuff. Really cool. Anyways, she had a bath bomb press, but she couldn't buy the full press thing.
Okay.
So we figured out what bolt sizes we needed. We ran to a couple hardware stores. I actually turned a whole handle for her on the lathe out of some oak, so she could really put all her body weight on there and really.
And at the end, it costed more?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it could have been. It was $50, and 3 days later.
Yeah.
But if you put in my shop time, it was like $70 and $10 in materials. I did it just for the fun of it.
Wow. One of these times somebody's gonna come into your wood shop and see you like snorting wood chips. You just love wood too much.
I actually have a scented hand lotion, body lotion.
Oh, of course you do.
It's mahogany.
Of course you do. Oh my god.
Some days. Christ, I have issues.
Yeah, but you'll never go broke on spending money on furnishings, right? At the very least.
I mean, I could really build a house from the ground up.
Yeah, probably.
I know how to run it. I know how to run it. The only thing I won't do is touch electricity. I know just enough to blow myself up. And
yeah, it's good to know your limits.
okay, so now we're actually getting to the philosophy section of this video. Well, like I said, always philosophy of one way or another.
Yeah, basically.
So, do you have any questions yourself for me?
I do. It's a great philosophy question. I've never met anybody who wasn't a little bit of a hypocrite when you ask it, so I think it's pretty good. All right, you have to consider both sides of this scenario. Here's the scenario. All right, you're a scientist who knows that the end of the world is coming. When do you tell people? It's going to happen in a month, 30 days. You learned right now. When do you tell people? Do you tell them immediately and give everyone a fair shot at wrapping up their life? Or do you hold on to that knowledge till the last minute because you don't want to be responsible for all the rampant death and everything else that would accompany the panic of knowing the world comes to an end? And how do you rationalize your response with your reaction as an individual? Does it match? Do you... Me personally, when I think of it, as the person who has the solution, I'd hold on to it till the last minute because I wouldn't want to be responsible for all the rape and murder. But as the person sitting on my couch who's not an authority, I want that whole month. Do you differ?
Yes, but there's... Well, I don't really...
And don't you feel like a hypocrite?
I do feel like a hypocrite because I want that information. However, I also realize that while the person is smart, and this is a Men in Black quote, people are a bunch of dumb, stupid, irrational animals.
Free will, Mr. Catholic.
I know. So the person is smart. I, as a person, am smart. You, as a person, are smart. I think most people on a one-on-one basis are smart. However, it's when you get to that mob, and that's what you're going to be dealing with, telling the world, you've just incited a billion different mobs that have nothing to lose.
Well, maybe you should add a heartless to your list too, because as the individual, you don't seem to care about the fallout. Right?
No.
Because you want your answer.
I want to know. I do. And that does make me a little bit of a hypocrite.
I mean, it's a hypothetical, and you can't get yourself to a honorable answer. That's why that one sticks in my head.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'd love to hear a good answer to that.
Because I really can't say I want the world knowing. Because the world is full of a bunch of groups of dumb people.
Yeah. That would do horrendous things with that last month.
There's nothing to lose.
Every single revenge scenario, every single bad impulse, thought of consequence, gone.
Yeah.
You're the one who hit the starting button.
Yeah, you're the genesis of that. Well, not really. The comet or whatever's the genesis, but you're the one who disseminated that information.
What do you think the Lord would have you do?
Not tell anyone.
because the Lord is so overly protective against suffering?
No.
Free will seems to be a gift that he gave with both hands.
Yeah.
So who the hell are you to take it away?
True. But why would he want me to tell everyone the world's ending if there's nothing that can be done about it?
For the same reason you want the month. So
Yeah.
they can spend that last month enjoying themselves.
I mean, I could see it as being the last test before rapture,
Right.
because that would really test you.
And as the only one who knows, ask not for whom the bell tolls. Like, the Lord put you there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put the responsibility in your hands.
But I could also see that as being a test for me.
On which side?
Exactly.
Do you respect free will, or are you afraid of suffering? You know, are you afraid? Oof. I mean, I guess that's just a bigger scale of that whole trolley paradox. You know, do you stop the trolley before it runs over people?
Actually, I'm not sure if I told you about this or not, but on Netflix, do you know the channel Vsauce?
I've heard of it, but
Okay, he's a YouTuber, but he's doing this special on Netflix, and I think it's on Netflix. It's either on Netflix or on YouTube. I can't remember. Anyways, it's called Minefield, and the first episode is a whole deep dive into the trolley paradox. It's like an hour long, and you have to watch it because he does a double-blind study. Well, not really a double-blind, but he sets a bunch of random people up.
does he catch the results you'd expect?
Sadly.
Yeah.
I mean, the instance of people pulling the lever is higher than I thought it would have been. But still.
I think it's because they lack the skills to reason it out. I think if you sat them down and explained it to them, and explained to them that if you don't touch the lever, you're not a murderer, and that's the only key. Right? Like, people are going to die either way, but by you choosing to intercede, it's now all on you.
Yeah.
Where before then, anything else could have interrupted. But because you decided that your will was more important, now you're responsible for those deaths. I think if people had that explained to them, a lot less people would choose to hit the lever. I really do. Going back to if you had that question in philosophy, when the trolley thing came up, you'd be comfortable with your answer.
Yeah.
Mhm. Or even if something lesser came up, you'd have that to draw on.
There's a million different trolley questions that we come across every day that we don't even see because the toll isn't as great.
Right. So we can just go with the comfortable answer and move on. Oof.
Yeah, I really think, I keep coming back to this example, but the pregnant lady on the side of the highway broken down, that was a trolley question.
Why? Because you possibly put your life in jeopardy to help her?
Yeah, or I could say, she's over there, I'm over here. Let whatever happens happen. Someone's
some
gonna
degree,
come along.
yeah.
I mean, it's not as extreme as someone dying or 5 people dying or whatever.
Nor is that lady's life in your hands.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody has an equal opportunity to help that lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Anyone could pull the lever.
yeah.
But as soon as I hopped across the median, I grabbed the lever.
Yeah.
And how often do you go about your day doing that and not realizing you're doing it?
I hope not often.
I think it's a lot more often than you think.
Right, I'm trying to examine and trying to think of... I mean, I guess I do that anytime I eat meat. I decided one being was more important than another. Yeah.
Every time you use electricity, your comfort versus
What?
the environment.
Oh, Lord. You gotta live. I would try to eliminate the extraneous, but to deprive yourself of basic living comforts because you're afraid of your footprint, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not a big one, I don't think, and it's one that everyone does every day.
I think that one is fair to dismiss. I think you need to break a couple of eggs to make an omelet, and it's just that simple. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's somewhere on the, what the hell's the word?
Continuum,
there
sliding
you go.
scale.
Yeah, continuum.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, now I want to go through some of the comments from this last month, and I believe there were a few questions and a few really interesting answers that I would like to dissect.
Sounds good.
Okay, All right, this is from the Intelligent versus Happy video. It's actually one that you did with me. It's one of the first ones. It's from Troy O'Grady. He actually commented on most of them, which is really cool. If you're smart enough to figure out what makes you generally happy in life, is that good enough for you?
I don't even understand what he means.
All right, intelligence and happiness come in many forms. I think as long as we reach the level of happiness that we all want for ourselves in life, then it doesn't matter how intelligent we are. But it may require a certain level of intelligence to get there. Maybe just about yourself. Coming back to the Know Thyself video. If you're smart enough to figure out what makes you happy, generally happy in life, is that good enough for you?
Oof. No. And I don't want to know the person it is. At the first sign of contentment, you're done searching? Like, that seems to be what that comes down to, and that's a terrible way to live. I mean, shit. How many people would just end up alcoholics? You know? Like, oh, I found something that works. Well,
yeah, I think that's that's a very slippery slope that you can easily slide down.
you should always be looking for new input. If there isn't some part of you that's hungry for some new piece of information, you need to get there. Like, you just do.
So generally happy enough is never good enough.
No. Especially not because, in fact, I don't think anybody with an IQ over 70 can accomplish that. Because even if you find contentment after a month without new stimulus, it'll start to get old.
Yeah, boredom will set in, and
so
cabin fever or whatever.
So you should always be searching for new information, for new stimulus, because nothing will sustain you forever. Good question, though.
Yeah. Ooh, all right, from Ray. Art versus not art. Question is, what isn't art? And that's how he would have answered this question.
What isn't art? That's how he answered it?
Yeah.
What isn't art? Well, I think I covered that pretty well in the video. If I can't see what you're going for, if you can't pull an emotion from me on purpose, I don't believe you were trying. And if you weren't trying, it's just paint on paper.
Yeah, I mean, is me taking a picture of a dump art?
It can be.
Yeah, it can be, but
Yeah.
not everything is art.
Right, and that's where the problem lies, is for those who don't have really great vision or a fine understanding of subtlety, there is no difference between the pair of sunglasses just sitting on a table and everybody oohing and ahhing over the emperor's new clothes, and one or two pieces of garbage put down in an order that really does provoke an emotion, that a scenario comes to mind, a memory is evoked. It has value. And for the average person, they don't see the difference between the two, so they figure they can try it, and posers are born.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about function as well. Because things that are made purely for function, like that helmet.
Wait, are you trying to argue that all functioning things should also have art, or art is less if it has no function? Which are you saying?
Neither.
All right, no, I'm really lost.
Something like, if everything's art, then things that are done just purely for function
Yeah.
are art.
Right. Right.
You know, and I think that's almost a ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's an absolutism, and I can't abide by those.
You've reduced it to nothing. The word no longer has meaning.
Yeah. So like that helmet I made,
Yeah.
is that art? I don't think so. It was something I built. Yeah, it looks kind of cool looking, but it was something built for a purpose. Nothing. A Duracell battery, I don't think is art.
All right. Duracell battery, I agree with. That I don't. Because you made some choices. Not everything was 100% utility. Why did you choose 16 mouth holes instead of 8? Because of the way it looked. Like, it had function, but you were also worried about the aesthetic. And the fact that form and function both happened, I'd give you art. I guess I'm a pretty easy audience with art, I guess.
I wouldn't call it art. I'd call it something that I slapped together to, serve a function. Now, the second one I made is art to me.
Okay. And what's the difference? Because you actually took the time on purpose to make it pretty?
Well, that, plus I made a bunch of different aesthetic choices that weren't, well, yeah, I guess, just choosing a different style of helmet, painting it in a black and white fashion, just small things like that didn't serve any real function one way or the other. Yes, it does serve a function, but it wasn't done for the function. It was done for
Aesthetics.
the aesthetics of it. And I mean, I think that's what it comes back to. It's not putting a piece of trash on a pedestal. It's putting the piece of trash on the pedestal in a certain way to try to evoke emotion.
Yeah.
That was done to protect my skull from getting another dent in it. The second one was done with a theme, to try and evoke emotions, whether in myself, whoever I'm showing it off to, whoever I'm fighting against.
Right.
So, I think there is a line there.
Yeah, I guess.
Even though both are, metalworking and armor smithing is an art form in of itself.
Yeah.
I don't think that every hinge is a piece of art. Or every strap is a piece of art. Some of them definitely can be. And I can show you armor that would make you cry.
See, that's why I think if I took that down, I'd find some choices you made that can't be explained as anything but superfluous. It wasn't completely utility. You made some choices. I think you did.
The only two.
What's the point of the eyes? What's the point of the blackened area?
Well,
Why is it blackened there?
that is only blackened. The stuff is only blackened on there because I actually made that into a Halloween costume several years later. That wasn't on there initially. The only two things that were on there initially, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I actually carved something into the forehead.
Yeah.
So that is artsy. And then on the top, which is now covered by fabric, I actually have a bear paw, and then my maker's mark carved into the steel. So that is a little bit artsy. But I don't consider that art. I don't think I have a hard line on it either, though. It's not like, well, it's 90% function and 10% art, so it's not art. So
Right.
there is no hard line. True altruism here. What if you're not choosing to help someone regardless of the reward, but only doing so per the plan of a higher power? Then would altruism exist in any form? No, because that takes away your free will, and that takes away that it's a predetermined destiny. Altruism is doing something on your own for no benefit to yourself for somebody else.
Not to mention, I believe anybody who thinks they've been sent by God needs a mental evaluation. Like, he's setting that up. the way that question is set up, it's like, oh, if I'm on a mission from God, can it be altruism? Well, that's assuming that people get sent on missions from God on a very specific level. We're talking that's set up. That question's set up for like Joan of Arc type of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not so certain that ever happens.
I don't think that's altruism, anyways.
No, it isn't. Even if I accept the hypothetical, I don't think it is either.
I really do have to say, I got some great comments on here, and I love them. Okay, this one's from Drayson69. His all right, from Drayson69. Is mankind a cancer on this planet? Is our overpopulation and pollution the product which will cause its demise?
Hello, Doomsday. I've heard us compared to a parasite, and I think that's closer to the truth. We don't find stasis, we just grow and consume.
All right, Neo.
So in that way, I think that's an easy one. No, yeah, we're not a cancer. If anything, if you want to be as harsh and precise as Mr. 69 apparently wants to be, I think Parasite's closer.
Parasite, the Matrix said that humanity is a virus. We never find that stasis.
Yeah.
We never, it's all, there's never enough, and we just take and move on.
Yeah.
However, is population and pollution the product which will cause its demise? The planet? You're not killing the planet.
Carlin said that one best. The planet's fine. It's the humans that are fucked.
Yeah. We might. There's nothing we can do that'll destroy the planet unless we nuke the core.
Right.
Everything that we can possibly get. We might kill ourselves. But how? That is a very, very
shows how
narcissistic
selfish we are. Yeah.
A very narcissistic view to think that life on this planet revolves around us. It doesn't. It didn't for the apes. It didn't for the dinosaurs. It didn't for the microbes before the dinosaurs. And even if we end up killing ourselves, this planet's gonna be here long after us. The only thing that's gonna destroy this planet is a giant asteroid or the sun blowing up. And we don't have control over either of those.
No.
So, we might make it unsuitable for our life.
Yeah, but the planet's fine.
And even...
It's just going to shake us off like a bad case of fleas.
Yeah, and given so many extremophiles that are on this planet...
well, you think just won't get to that point? Because
animals that live in extreme temperatures. Or extreme conditions.
So there'll still be life, yeah.
Yeah, there's still going to be life.
There's fish that live in sulfur water. So...
And there's like microbes and stuff that live in things that we never thought life could even exist.
Yeah.
And then we find out that, they're happy as clams.
Yeah.
So that was a fun one. I like that one. Okay, this is a couple questions deep on justifying taking a life.
Okay, so you just want to read it and then we'll just both give our opinion on it?
More or less.
Want to address it question by point?
It gets a little off track.
All right, so just read it off.
But the blunt skibby of it is, if I'm imprisoned and can't provide for my children, then was it worth screwing their childhood up to save the life of a stranger? Now, that's from Troy O'Grady, who's also my best Patreon.
Troy, buddy, that's your best question out of all the ones we heard tonight. Succinct and heartbreaking. Philosophical gold. One more time. Say how you said it.
If I'm imprisoned and can't provide for my children, then was it worth screwing up their childhood to save the life of a stranger?
Ooh.
That's painful. Because the initial question is, if it's illegal to save somebody's life, are you ethically bound to?
Well, let me start with my ethics don't care about laws. So worth it isn't really the thing. The thing is, did it need to be done? Could I live with myself if I didn't? Isn't it the right thing to do to such a crazy degree that there's no other path? It has to be done. So, is it worth it? I'm just gonna say yes in the sense that I'm gonna jump and hope the net appears. Yes, it's worth it, and the judge is gonna let me off because.
Okay, well, what if Hitler's being executed? Do you have to go save his life then? Because you just took an always stance.
Did I actually use the word always there?
Yeah, it's always worth it, and you're always gonna jump.
All right.
And hope the net appears. So are you gonna save
Nope.
Adolf Hitler from the guillotine?
Then you caught me in a lie. They either have to be a stranger, or I have to have knowledge that they're a good person, because I would absolutely let plenty of people I know fall. Like, or at least, well, I think that, but maybe in the situation I still wouldn't. I don't know. My thought is that there's people that I'd probably let go.
I took this to the point of, it's ethically, to a point, it is an ethical imperative, even if it's just improving your family's life. And I think that's kind of where the genesis of this is. From a legal standpoint, I can't get behind illegal immigration. But if I look at it from the immigrant's point of view, they're leaving this horrible, horrible place. There's certain places in Mexico that are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And they're risking their lives to improve the life of their family by getting them over here. Ethically, I'm behind that man 110%. If you were a father, wouldn't you do that?
All right, let me ask you about the water stations then. How do you feel about that? Because some say that's encouraging it. Me personally,
I don't think it is.
That doesn't encourage it. You would have been out there anyway.
Yeah, that guy is doing that not
because there's water out there. No.
That's making his life easier, and that's somebody else's. That's a private citizen's conscience answering this question.
All right, so you're king. You find out that somebody is putting up water stations, and you're the one who put the law that said no illegal immigration. Do you, and if so, how, punish the water station man?
I can't answer that question.
I don't punish him.
I don't think I could punish him.
Nope. I have to find a way to de-incentivize those who he helps.
Yeah, there's a number of ways that I would change differences, but I don't think I would change. I would punish somebody for leaving water on the desert for somebody else.
I couldn't.
Not with any good conscience. So, but back to to Troy's question.
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
that woo.
Yeah, a little bit.
Is it worth screwing up your kid's childhood?
Yes.
Yeah?
Sure. Simple. First, I believe the world would save you. You wouldn't go to jail or whatever. Or, if you did, unfortunately, that is a lesson that child is going to learn at one point, and you got to learn it now. That no good deed goes unpunished. That you should not give more than you have to give. That you should give smartly as well as generously.
Mm-hmm.
And if he or she disagrees with my decision, well, then now they know where they stand on that issue from now on.
Myself, I couldn't not save the life.
Even Hitler?
If it would screw up my kids.
Oh, okay, even Hitler?
I don't know. I want to say I would let Hitler die. But going back to your premise of stranger, or somehow I knew they were a decent person, even though it would screw up my family life, what kind of a father would I be if I didn't?
Yeah. What kind of kids? What kind of legacy are you leaving? What did you just teach them? Yeah, all of it.
You have to live by a set of principles and standards. And those principles better be unshakable. And that's one thing I want to teach my kids. Be a principled person. Know what your principles are, stand by them, especially when it's tough.
Well, there's no point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, bit long-winded, but
We got there.
there's
We
the
got there.
answer. But that was one that stuck in my craw,
Oh, yeah.
if you couldn't tell. Okay, this one's from Troy again. And this was unjustified beliefs.
Okay.
Wouldn't pretty much everything be a justifiable belief simply on the grounds of possibility? Even something with the most remote chance of occurring can be a justifiable belief as long as it's possible, don't you think? If you can't prove that it won't happen, then it may be justifiable, at least to some.
Oh, sophistry. And I hate claiming that because so often the hair that needs to be split doesn't get split. But that question just itches me in the sense that it's like you're picking at something that I don't even see a benefit of picking at. Could you read it again?
Wouldn't pretty much everything be a justifiable belief simply on the grounds of possibility? Even something with the most remote chance of occurring can be a justifiable belief as long as it's possible, don't you think? If you can't prove that it won't happen, then it may be justifiable, at least to some.
Oh my God. He covered too many bases. It's like you can't argue either side of that one. It's like if I say it's all horseshit, then it's like you're saying that one of a kind thing that things never happened and should never be prepared for. On the other hand, people do way too much in the name of preparation sometimes.
Yeah.
So, personally, I think that question is really 6 or 7 different points that would need to be sliced up into the good and the bad of each. To try and carve it out of this one single question, you couldn't. You couldn't
All
get
right,
a clear answer out of.
10-second answer.
Oh, geez. You want to go first?
Is every belief a justifiable belief?
Is every belief a justifiable belief?
On the
No.
grounds that it possibly might, in the most minute case, happen?
No. No.
Yeah. I don't think so either. Troy, do you honestly believe that there's a justifiable belief that unicorns are going to fly down from the heavens and start spearing all the narwhals?
Or how about this one? This one's even a little more helpful. I heard this one on Joe Rogan the other day. He said, this really splits that issue. Is it okay to teach your kid that porcupines can shoot their quills? Good and bad. Number one, the good. If you teach your kid that, your kid's gonna give porcupines a wide berth from then on. And you pretty much guarantee that that kid is never gonna get hurt by a porcupine. But the bad, now that the kid thinks porcupines can throw quills, how many bad assumptions can he make later on based on that information that could eventually lead him down a poor path?
I think that's all bad. Because the kid's going to be so terrified of porcupines that might end up hurting him just because, oh, there's a porcupine, and bolt the other direction, maybe into traffic, maybe off a cliff, maybe he'll run into something worse other than, oh, look, there's a porcupine. Look at that.
But you guaranteed he'd never get hurt by porcupines. And that's what that
yes and no.
relativism bullshit, that's the fruit that bears. Anytime you take misinformation and try to frame it as a positive, I'm always going to fall where you did.
Yeah.
There's no There's no justification for
for every
giving a
one
shit
good
lie.
For every one good, I can think of like 10
doors.
bad.
Yeah, no good.
So, blah.
Troy, take a side on one of these, buddy. This play in the center shit, you're killing me.
Okay, this is a cool one that me and him had a back and forth about.
All right.
Well, first off, he thinks Zeke should be in more videos. My dad's dog. Which, yeah, okay, gotcha. Second, I think a good question would be, where is the line between bad and evil? And also, how evil can one truly be? Think of the most evil person, real or fiction, and think that they could could they be even more evil? Is there no limit?
Evil only has two, yes or no, to me. You either are or you aren't. And evil has everything to do with intent. The difference between bad and evil being you can accidentally or situationally be put where you will do something bad. Evil is a force in people or in the world that shows itself through malevolence. It doesn't matter what the payoff or what the circumstance. I just kind of got a giddy joy out of being an ass or by doing something horrible. That's evil. There's the difference. Yes, there is one, and evil's evil. There is no extent. I don't put a bigger premium on Hitler than the dudes who shoved the Jews directly in the ovens. No. You're both a part of the evil machine. It wouldn't have worked without you. Evil.
Okay, it's all about malevolence.
Yeah, intent.
So someone drowning a puppy and getting jollies off it is the same pedestal as Hitler?
Yes. Not that the two deeds are the same, but rather, I believe one who's capable of one is capable of both.
Just a complete lack of regard for human life or life in general?
Or rather, they enjoy it at any cost. They enjoy the suffering of others and the damage they cause doesn't hurt them at all. Doesn't faze them. They're completely worried about what they get, and they enjoy negative fallout for others. That's me. You?
I think there's a continuum of evil, and like if you look at Harry Potter, have you ever watched the movies?
All of them, yeah.
All right, I can't remember which one it is, but it's the one where Umbridge.
It's one of the last ones.
Yeah, the pink lady.
Yeah.
I think she's more evil than Voldemort.
Yeah, for me it doesn't matter. If you're doing things simply for icky joy, and you're taking joy out of other people's pain, there's nothing that I think Umbridge would do that Voldemort wouldn't, and vice versa.
I think
their chosen method doesn't matter as much to me.
Yeah. I think she's much more evil than Voldemort.
Why?
The way she goes about things, her particular enjoyment out of all of it.
I think she's more insidious, more detailed in execution. She's a masochist. He's a megalomaniac who doesn't mind masochism to get what he wants.
Yeah.
But, I mean, either one of them are throwaway people. Like, right? Either one of them, I think I'd prefer a bullet in their head.
Yeah.
And so, evil. You know, it doesn't matter what they did to earn it.
That's all the comments that I really wanted to address. All the things that had real questions in them. But yeah, those are some.
Yeah, not bad.
We got deep on a lot of those quick. Which is kind of fun. It's almost like a lightning round.
Right. Perhaps if you continue this in the future, viewers might suggest questions for certain guests.
Ooh.
You know,
Well,
like maybe they'd want to hear me talk about something or your father's side of a particular issue.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
Viewers' choice questions.
yeah, pull Big Red back on for
Stuff that,
20 minutes, or
yeah.
Michaela back on for 20 minutes. That could get interesting.
Yeah.
And I do want to expand the pool of people I interview about these things, just to get a broader cross section, because even with the people I've got, it's not big enough for me.
So you gonna tell them about the other idea, about the street thing? It's more to come, and if they like this stuff.
All right, I'm planning on going down to First Friday every now and then.
They don't know what that is.
True, most of them aren't from this area. Okay, there's a big celebration.
Art walk.
Yeah, it's a big art walk,
Yeah.
celebration type thing, every first Friday of the month. And people come out of the woodwork for it. There's vendors, street performers, art galleries, everything's open late at night, and it's just a kind of a celebratory party type atmosphere. And
Lots of businesses actually turn their business into an art gallery for the night, like regular businesses.
which is really cool.
Right?
So the blunt skippy is I want to take a selfie stick and go down there and ask 10 people 10 questions. What do you guys want to hear the masses answer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that could get sticky.
Yeah. Perhaps you should tailor the questions for the individual, but they all answer one the same. Like they all answer the same one, and the second one is the question that's tailored to who you're looking at. It's great for a control. In my mind.
If there's anything you want to hear the masses answer, let me know in the comment section below of this video particularly. That way it'll be easier for me to correlate them all.
Yeah. Get on it. Because First Friday's coming up. What? We got... Oh my God, it's in 2 days.
Yeah.
Well...
Probably won't be for this one because it's going to be cold out. But
they have them.
They have them, but it's not going to be as many people. It's not going to be
you're
a
better
bigger
off
cross
in,
section.
like March.
I'm going to wait till like spring. Yeah. But if there's questions you have, let me know. Collate them. That way I can get a broad breadth of questions to either ask, other guests that I'm going to be having on, because I will be having more on, or just random people on the street, because that'll be fun and a little terrifying.
Oh, nothing but fun. Nothing but fun.
I don't know.
Anybody who goes to those things are really there for the whole experience. And for somebody doing a project like that, they're all junkies. They'll all love it.
I'm not
Attention junkies, not...
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about some of their answers. I don't know. I think
profane?
No, I think some people will go to either really stupid answers or really dark answers.
Well...
And that might be a little terrifying, really seeing what just the average person thinks sometimes.
Oh, you just gotta dice it up real good then. You gotta have a blooper reel for all the doy answers, and for all the deep answers, they get the respect of the format we're previously suggesting.
I hope so.
That's what I think you should do. I don't think you'll waste any of it. I'm telling you, people are loving to participate. Oh my God, anytime there's a street performer, there's 30 people watching. If it's anything where crowd participation can be a factor, there's more than enough volunteers.
Here's a question for you guys. Do you think I should use it, go at it at a selfie stick, or set up a booth?
I think with a booth you might encounter the vendor issue, even though you're not selling anything. And I think the selfie stick is very close to the reporter paradigm, and people know how to react to it. And because of that, they'll feel immediately comfortable.
Reporter paradigm versus vendor?
Yeah, at a vendor, what are you selling? what is this? Oh, will you please sit down and answer a question? Boo. But you see two dudes walking around in the public, high traffic, well-lit area, and one of them's got a camera, not like this, but like on a selfie stick, and they're like, can we ask you a question for our YouTube thing? You know, I think you're going to get great responses. I think 9 out of 10 people are going to be more likely upset that there wasn't more than 2 questions to answer. That's exactly why they're down there, to participate in art, and that's how this will be viewed.
Good.
That's my thoughts.
I hope that's...
Still want to hear yours.
Yeah, please, let me know, guys, because it'll... Even with all the dark stuff that it could go to, I think it'll be fun.
Hell yeah.
So, like I said, this is a wrap-up of this whole month, this whole challenge. It really did influence a lot of things that I'm going to be carrying on in the future with, like, you know, batching. Of course, using this light that I have now because...
It's bright.
I mean...
It does make everything look classy, though.
Yeah. Look at the first first couple videos I had with this schmuck, and then look at it now. It really is a night and day difference. Yeah. So there's that. There's the batching. There's different editing techniques that I'm using. Like I'm letting more of your affectations in, which before is just words. And I chopped the living daylights out of it. So I think I'm getting a little bit better with the editing, and I don't know.
It's all still new. You're used to just editing you.
Yeah. Putting a second face on there is just makes everything more difficult.
Yeah. You're getting it though. I'm enjoying the videos. I'm enjoying watching them.
Good. That means I'm doing something right, at least.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm getting tons of responses.
And I think I'm a tough audience too, so you must be doing something
I think
right.
everyone thinks they're a tough audience though.
Yeah, but I'm right.
So guys, I know this is a super long video, and it was kind of meant to be because this was a huge month for me. So much content was covered, and just wow. The responses were great. I loved having this back and forth with you guys, and I'm gonna drop this down to only once a week from here on out.
The philosophy section?
The philosophy.
Okay.
Just because this amount of work doing it all by myself is a nightmare. But it did force me to make a lot of hard decisions on how things were done all on the back end, and I think I've really grown for it. Not just intellectually, well, yeah, it is all intellectual, I guess, but in multiple different areas. And if you guys ever have a chance to do a challenge like this, this is just one I posed to myself. Could I do it? Would I do it? Would I be able to stick through it? How would I even make it happen? Challenge yourself. I don't care what it is. Just challenge yourself and force yourself to stick with it, because at the end, you will feel like $10,000 fell from the sky. It's really something, just knowing that this is the end, that I made it, that it all happened. It's also a little sad.
What, that it's over?
That it's over, because I was getting used to...
it's just round 1. You'll be better for round 2.
So, anyways, like I said in the beginning, thanks for watching, guys. This really does mean a whole lot to me. Thanks, Mike, for coming out and helping me so much. It really is awesome.
Pleasure being here.
You know, it's not like we haven't done it a million times before, but now I'm sticking a camera in your face. And guys, if you like this, please leave a like, and if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. It helps me out so much, especially now that YouTube's demonetizing me and I need to get to that 4,000 or 1,000 subs. Subscribe, tell your friends, tell your parents, bribe people, I don't care. Get these numbers up, because I really want to make it, and this is so much fun. Also hit that demonetizing part. Since I'm not making really any money now off YouTube, if you could, no pressure, spare a few dollars a month, $1 a month, please visit my Patreon and consider supporting me.
He says no pressure. I say lots of pressure. Lots of money! Go, go, go! Money now! Subscribe now! Go! Woo!
So, thanks for watching. Stay thoughtful, and I'll see you next time.